a lot of your favorite rappers hit a crossroad where they did what the they set out to do, and then the fruits of their labor started working against them. That same energy and that same like passion they put into the craft was gone, and it was replaced by like comfort and luxury.
So, the reason why I brought this one up is because his whole part, and we talked a little bit about this on the YouTube live, his whole part, first chapter of that particular documentary was called like Comfortable, right? And how here's my confusion, where you work so hard to have a certain kind of lifestyle, to have certain kind of luxuries, and it's almost looked at as more of a, how would I say, a negative thing than a positive thing. Because when you get everything that you wanted and you worked for, then the hunger isn't necessarily there. So how Cole kind of placed this as if he was like, before I leave, right? And this is for the next clip kind of thing. Actually, let's play both. Let's play both so we could just talk all around about it.
Every day I woke up, wrote verses, made beats. So, and so all that to say, the offseason was like the same concept. Like, one more time before I leave, like before I feel like I'm like fulfilled in this game, let me try to reach new heights from a skill level standpoint.
So, back to what I was saying was, he has nothing to prove. The fact that he's still trying to get to new heights in a career that he has, like, doesn't make sense to me. Like, you've proven everything. You've proven to be one of the top rappers, right? Now, maybe he's trying to get on the top 10, 5 on everybody's list. I can't knock that, right? But the fact that he literally took it back to going to the old Queen spot to get that same kind of focus, doing 7-minute drills of writing, and not going back to, you know what, let me go on the private jets and just bask in this comfortable lifestyle that I have, that I literally can just say whatever. And he's done that on albums to be like, you know what? I want to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. I will say the last real album besides this one was the Forest Hills one. That anything after that wasn't my favorite, right? But the Forest Hills one, I went to the tour for that one, all that great stuff. It was great. Then those albums came out. I was like, where's J.Cole? What happened? Right? And now this one came out, and I'm like, yo, is this his last one? Because I don't want it to be.
That's what it sounds like. And I was gonna say that. I was gonna ask you about that. Because he's saying before I, make my exit, I'm like, oh, this sounds like maybe he's thinking about just calling it quits after this.
That's what I think his intention is. You have everything. You don't have to prove nothing. You've now, and if you didn't see that LA Leakers freestyle, you're bugging, right? That freestyle alone I was like, I don't even need to hear the album. That was fire, right? It just shows that it's important to leave the same way you came in. It's not about, and we look at some of the greats and we see how they just kind of chilled there, like never wanted to go too higher up, or they went higher up in a different industry or a different way, right? Yeah. But they never necessarily continuously competed with themselves in that top spot, right? Because I look at a Jay-Z, and he made the Black album, but then came out with 2-3 more albums after that.
Yeah.
But even when he came out, like, what was the last one? Was the last one 444? Was that his last one, or
yeah?
or did he
I
come
think
up
so.
with? Okay,
No, I think 444 is the last one. Yeah.
So 444 wasn't necessarily for me, and people can say what they want. Didn't take it skills wise to another level. I think mindset wise and that kind of level, that's where Jay-Z elevated. But I believe with J. Cole, with this one, he said, yo, that hunger, that drive, that love for the music needs to come back with this last one. This one that I'm doing right here, I can't just go downstairs and record comfortably, because we've seen those albums where he just comes downstairs comfortably, right? Mm-hmm. This is where he's being very intentional and deliberate with what he does and showing us kind of the way of there is never a time to settle, because we look at when you reach the top and how at that point you are so enwrapped with the environment and the comfortable vibes that you've created that people are starting to pass you, and you're okay because you got whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
And he's saying, yo, I'm not okay with it. And when I think about it, with the whole not having any kind of features, the last album, things like that, like, am I okay if this was to be done right now? And he said no. And he's treating, like I said, he has a whole full album rollout. Like, the only person that I know that does a full-blown album rollout like that is DJ Khaled.
For real.
Because that man
goes all out. Yeah.
But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the fact that he is, because, like, you're right, the last like really powerful Cole album was Forest Hills Drive. That came out in 2014.
Yep.
So it's like, man, that's been 7 years. Still available, right? Still putting out music, still developing other artists even, and really helping, his squad, which I still think is dope. So he's a great person. We all love J. Cole. We know he's been doing meaningful work all throughout. But I think for him to want to come back and close off this way is really dope. And I think it's common for a lot of us to want to explore something new at some point, right? Like we master something, we start to find it easier to do. It doesn't exert as much energy from us. And typically most people, is very rare. It's a very rare trait or characteristic, but a very special one, that somebody can get better and still want to work just as hard, if not harder, at the thing that they are improving on, right? Typically people start to say, well, work harder, not smarter. Like, you don't have to grind as, like, right? They want to enjoy the fruits of their labors, which is common. So I think it's really powerful, and it actually shows his love for the artistry and the music before he even gets started, because he's telling you, I want to come back with this. The other part of it, I think, and it probably came about because of just what's happened over the last year and a half, is him saying, man, I want to give out features. Like, why? I don't know if I want to look back and say, yo, I never collaborated with anybody. So like, with the passing of all of these wonderful people, in various industries, music, sports, just in so many different areas, I think that's kind of made him realize, like, man, you don't want to, while that was a good thing to go platinum with no features, I think right now you got to honor those who have come before and after you, and actually do almost like this passing of the throne or this turning of the page kind of thing, so that you can look back on memories and build relationships. It's a super introverted move, right? And again, shout out to the Flight Assessment, because this is coming directly from there, but it's a super introverted move where you find your groove doing something that you love and you get comfortable doing it, and you're like, yo, I don't want to do anything different than this right here because I'm comfortable doing this. And then you do it for so long, and then something happens that makes you realize, like, oh, shoot, maybe there's another way to do that. Or maybe I was wrong for doing too much of that. So I think that's what he's recognizing now. And it's like, yo, let me honor and cherish. Like, first song on the album featured with Cameron. And I'm like, oh, wow, like you took it back. Like, let me go all the way back to maybe when I was in Queens listening to music and Cameron was hot at then. Let me collaborate with one of my favorite artists growing up. So it shows like the maturity in someone wanting to correct, something that maybe he felt he did wrong. And I respect it. I really respect the Knicks because like many people don't get the chance to do that, and they kind of look back with a what if type of thing. And he's like, yo, let me correct it now, and just it is what it is. So with this rollout and having so many things come out back to back, it seems like he's just like, all right, let me let go once and for all and really do it the way I want to.
Yeah, and I think the way, if this is his last album, right, is gonna make fans miss him. It's not going to make us think about past albums and be like, that's when J.Cole was hot. It was like he left hot. This is a rapper that left at his peak performance, best that he's ever done, debatably. I've seen multiple reviews on the J. Cole album, and all have been good. All have been good and debatable as being a possible classic, right? Which, some people are like, oh, it's too early to say, but I mean, you got to give props where props is due. It's a really good body of work. And to sit here and be like, for me, like, what if you have that lifestyle? And he said it in the documentary, and we talked about it on the live, where like, how do you still find the creativity? How do you still find that wordplay and everything still? Like, what do you do? And the fact that he came up with a routine to bring that out of him, no matter what time, place, whatever, it's some things that we have to look at and be like, how can I duplicate that in what I do? Like, how do I, and from me, from a standpoint of a content creator, like, how do I create a routine that will force me to always have content, to force me to always show up, to force me, and not in the negative force, because sometimes when we show up, you could tell we've been forced. But what can I do to make it fun? Like he said, yo, I do 7-minute drills to perfect my craft. So I do these different drills that make it, because he's a basketball player, right? He brings what he loves to do from basketball and brings it into his craft of writing and raps. What can we look at from some of the things that we love, whether it's a hobby or passion or whatever it is? What are some of the things that we can bring that into our own craft that will continue for us to level up and have fun doing it? That was one of the biggest lessons that I got out of that documentary. Not only almost to a point of, let me avoid being comfortable, right? Let me avoid being comfortable, but as well as let me pull from different places of my life and different things that I do to make what people know me for fun again. What people know me for, different exercises to expand my mind and my knowledge and my skills, and getting me to new levels without necessarily feeling if I have to wait for that to come.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, out of this whole J. Cole situation, that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, was that we don't necessarily have to wait for it to hit us once we reach a certain point. Because we may be coasting and be like, I could do this at any time. Let it hit me. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to execute it at any point. But sometimes we should be ready to go at any point, and that's what makes us great. Mm-hmm. The typical and the average will wait for inspiration. The typical and average will wait for that creativity to hit for then you to see the results. I should be able to show you results at any point and still kill it and still be like, yo, you still doing it on this level? Absolutely. What's up? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's easy because it's fun for me because I do this on the regular.
100%.
So
100%. Yep.
That's what I think.
Love it.
Yeah, we went a little bit long. I apologize. Not really. I don't apologize at all. This needed to be said, and there shall be more.